Hello, guys. Welcome back to another episode on the show, Control or Be Controlled, podcast designed to help you start thinking differently and take control of your life. And I remain your host, Darlington. And you guys know we only bring a special guest to the show. And once again, today we have a very, very special guest. Today's guest is Carine Colemonts. Carine, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. Very excited to be here.
All right, Carine. So I would like you to introduce yourself to my audience.
I'm Carine. I am a trusted advisor and master results coach. I have over 15,000 sessions under my belt, and I'm absolutely passionate about what I do. You will hear that in my voice when I answer question. I might go into total passion. I really want to bring that passion to you all and help you figure out what's next for you. I'm here. How can I help? How can I support and bring you some gold? Then I cannot hear you.
All right, Corinne. So I have some questions here for you, and I would like us to get into them. So, tell us, you have built your entire coaching philosophy around one sentence. The presenting problem is never the real problem. What's an example of that from your own life before you ever coached anyone?
Yes, great question. The biggest example I can think of, I went to school to become a coach, a life purpose coach back in 2004. And then I started coaching clients left and right without never really charging anyone. So of course that didn't pay the bill, right? And very quickly I realized I needed to find a way to pay my bills. And I went and launched a very successful remodeling company. For 13 years, I was solving a problem that wasn't the problem, because the problem that I thought it was the presenting problem was I need to find a way to pay the bills, and coaching is not it. And that was not the problem that I needed to solve. The real problem was I don't feel worthy as a coach. Why would people pay me? But I never took the time to slow down enough to really look at it. It took me 13 years running a very successful business to finally understand, wait a minute, what are you doing here? So I was very successful at it. I did incredible, a lot of word of mouth. People were like, my gosh, you're so good at this. And yet inside of me, something was dying. Something was like, I didn't feel the fulfillment. I was like, oh, I cannot believe I'm doing this. All I want to do is coach. Now it was interesting because the universe, that higher power, kept sending me people to coach. The homeowner, their neighbor, their cousin, their uncle, a friend. And so while I'm working in this successful business, I'm coaching people. And my heart is so full when I do so. And every time I have a glimpse of what it is that I really, really want to do. But I don't pull the trigger until one day I decided I need to be really honest with myself. What is this about? What is really going on here? So for 13 years, I solved a problem that wasn't a problem in the first place. Presenting problem, I need to pay the bill. Real problem, I don't think I'm worthy as a coach. But I didn't look at it for 13 years.
All right, Corinne, thank you so much. So, you spent 13 years building a business you eventually realized you didn't want. What was the wake up call like?
Uh, The wake up call, and I see this from experience, not just that one moment, but from experience through all the coaching session I've had and the C suite and executive I've worked with, they, as well as me at the time, there are so many calls. As things start not unfolding in your life, you start being honest with yourself and realize, okay, it looks really good on paper. And from the outside in, it looks very successful. And wow, she has it all together. And deep inside, you can tell something's missing, right? There is no fulfillment. Something is missing. And then your body starts giving up on you. Your body, if you don't hear the call, your body will start sending you signs. the stress, the anxiety, the suddenly back issues, or whatever issues that start showing up in your body, it's part of the wake-up call. We know when we stop and slow down, we know if we are in the right place or not. We deeply know it. Our heart knows it. Our soul knows it. Our head is trying to avoid it and pretending it's not there. Once we take the time to slow down and really look, we really know.
Okay, Carine. So, when someone asks for better time management or strategy, how do you uncover what's really holding them back?
Great question. So, how do I uncover what's holding someone back? It's really by number one, listening to them to understand what's going on, not listening to respond. That's something a lot of people do. They listen to respond. I don't. I listen to understand. So hearing where the person is and not taking what they say at face value, not buying into their story or their belief, and be willing to be blunt if needed, to really uncover and ask questions that might be uncomfortable, but really ask what is really going on behind that. One of my favorite questions is, if that story wasn't there, what would you do differently? If that belief wasn't there, what would you do differently? Or simply, what are you really afraid of? What is that about? Right? So the questions don't need to be complicated. They need to help you uncover the layer that's under it.
All right, thank you so much, Corinne. So, many of your clients are high achievers. How do you challenge someone who's used to having all the answers?
Yes. So no one ever has all the answers. High achiever, C-suite, high executive, they are often surrounded by people who are yes people. And so their thinking is not always being challenged. And I come in and I start challenging their thinking by asking simple questions. That's what they hire me for. They hire me because I'm leverage for them. I'm going to hold them to the fire. I am not going to let them stay in an excuse and a story. I'll give you an example. Very high achieving woman on the call a week ago, and she has not done the few things she committed to do. So I called her on that. Well, what happened? And she said, well, I realized I haven't managed my time really well. And moving forward, I'm going to block every Wednesday from 2 to 4 and work on this one thing. And I'm like, because you really do believe you have a time management problem here? And she says, oh, yeah. And I'm overwhelmed in time management. I really need to work on getting a better schedule. So she was going for strategies versus really going to what it is that she truly wanted and looking at that. So I ask her a simple question and I'm like, tell me, in general, when there is something you really, really want, do you figure out a way and you find the time? And she said, of course. And I'm like, interesting. So what's really going on here? Why are you not making the time to work on this one thing in particular? What is that about? Is it I don't want it anymore? Is it I'm afraid? What is it? And so I did ask a question, what are you afraid of? And the next thing that came up is I'm afraid if I fail, then what other people are going to say. And everyone knows me under this one hat. And then now suddenly I'm putting another hat on. What if they judge me? What if I'm not good enough? And all those fears came up. Now we know we need to work on those fears instead of working on a calendar issue. You see the difference?
All right, Corinne. So, can you tell us why do so many people wait for certainty before making a big life change?
This is a prime, a basic human needs that we all have. We all need certainty. And everyone will stay much longer into a job or a position because at least they know what they have. It's one of our basic needs. Often my clients who say I want XYZ and they don't go after it, it's because they are attributing more pain to do the change and be in that part of uncertainty than staying where they are. At least they know what they got. And it's only when the pain of staying where you are is bigger than the pain to make the change that they will shift. In order to make the change, it will require letting go of certainty and stepping into the not comfortable zone, right? It's going to be uncomfortable. And people are looking for certainty. The truth is, it's another word they need to look for, certainty with a C. And I would invite them to look for courage with a C, right? Because it's courage, confidence, certainty, right? So we have the courage to pull the trigger. From there, we're going to take action. And when we take action, we start building that confidence. Ultimately, we build the certainty that we were craving in the first place. But courage always comes before certainty. And I know I'm talking about 3 C's here, but you got to have them in the right order. Courage, confidence, certainty.
Okay, so what happened in December 2020? What made you sell everything and hit the road?
Yes. So December 2020, December 4th, 2020, I basically had spent a few weeks before that selling everything I owned, giving everything away. I kept a 10 by 10 storage with some things that are very important to me from childhood and memories and whatnot. And I got on the road, just a car and a suitcase. I had gone through a separation that turned into a divorce. And he was like, you know what? No, it's my time. It's my time to live. I have 4 very successful grown-up children, and I want to live life. I have no idea what's in storage for me. I really don't know. But what I know is that this is my time, and I'm going to take a leap of faith. And that's exactly what I did. If you think of the Pursuit of Happiness movie, when the main character has this one white box left, that was me. I had this one white box left, and I just put it all on it and say, this is my time and I'm going for it. And I don't know where it's going to take me, but I know that by saying yes to me, things will unfold. So I started the first few months. My goal was to travel all over US and figure out where I wanted to stay and what was going to be my next chapter. And I started the first few months by going to California and the West Coast. Now, it's really funny because when you say yes to yourself, the universe, that higher power, start putting things in place for you. And out of nowhere, my best friend shared with me, I just bought a house. I knew that. But what she shared with me was they don't want to let me out of my lease in my apartment. So now I have mortgage and lease to pay. It's going to be very hard. And I'm like, well, why don't I stay at your apartment for a while and I pay the lease? And boom, that was the first place I could stay. And so month after month, I had opportunities like that came for me, that just opened doors to me. Now, out of nowhere, we are now probably mid-February. One of my clients on one of our sessions said, Coach, hold me accountable. Before April 1st this year, I want to go to do ayahuasca, plant medicine in Costa Rica. And I'm like, okay, tell me more. And then we continue the coaching session. And at the end of the session, when I knew he was complete with his work, and I'm like, can I remove the coach hat for a second and ask you something? And he said, sure. And I say, can I go with you? And he said, Coach, it would be my honor. And the next thing you know, I'm booking tickets, and him and I are planning a trip to Costa Rica. So we arrive in Costa Rica at the end of March. After 3 nights of plant medicine ceremony, I got a very, very clear message from a higher power saying, you need to stay here. I never discussed it. I never questioned it. I never had self-doubt. I just said, okay, yes. So I already had my flight booked to go back to, at the time, my car was in LA. And so I flew back to LA on that return ticket and put my car in storage, pick up a few more clothes and move things around. And the next day I was back on a plane for Costa Rica. I had booked a hotel for the first 2 nights, and then I didn't know. And within those first 2 nights, a friend that I had met in ceremony said, "Hey, I heard you back in Costa Rica. I need someone to watch my apartment while I'll be gone. Could you please do that for me?" "Sure, I can do that for you." And the rest is history. I stayed there for 18 months. I did a lot of healing work. There is something magic about being in a place where you don't know anyone and no one knows you. And you get to really explore, who are you? What it is that you really, really want. And it was an incredible, incredible journey for me. Just by saying yes to me, basically. That's where it all started.
Okay, Corinne. So, you say saying yes is 80% of the work. Why then do most people struggle to take that first step?
Because it's scary. Because it's that need of certainty, right? It's really, really scary. I mean, and I'm really such an example of saying yes and going for it. And I know the tools, and yet I had been for several years into being one of the top coach for Tony Robbins. And I knew that it was time to go. And it took me another 2 years to finally say yes to me, because that false sense of security, that certainty that we want, the story we tell ourselves. I kept telling myself, I need to stay for my clients. I want to honor the contracts. I want to see it through. I keep telling myself, this is good for me. It's an incredible experience. I'm learning so much. I'm doing all those hours in the chair. This is part of me growing. And as long as I can stick to those stories, I'm not addressing what's really going on. So presenting problem, right, is I need to stay here because it's good for me, it's good for my clients, and I'm doing what's right. What was the real problem? The real problem was an identity crisis, right? I knew exactly who I was as one of the top coaches for Tony Robbins. And everyone, when I walked in the room, knew, oh my gosh, she's one of them, right? It was really big. It was identity. Who am I when I don't have that title anymore? When I am not one of the top Tony Robbins coach? So it was an identity crisis. The real problem was identity. And the minute I realized that, I realized I could create a different identity, and I could take again a leap of faith and said, enough is enough. It's time to go. And basically jump off the plane and build the wings as I fly.
All right. So, moving on. If someone looks successful on the outside but feels unfulfilled inside, where should they begin?
So someone who looks successful on the outside and feels unfulfilled on the inside, where I typically begin with them is to reconnect them to, number one, what does success means to you? And is that definition still valid today? Where that definition even comes from? What it is that you really want? If money was not even in the picture, what would you be doing? Right? So I go into curiosity, asking lots of questions to really, really understand what's truly going on, what it is that I want. Sometimes I will find myself reconnecting with a younger version of themselves that they really, really could connect with. Where that little girl or that little boy go? What do you want for her or for him? Right? So we do a lot of work to discover where you at, what's working and not what's not working. So the Clarity Compass is a tool that I've developed because it really is something that I use constantly in my coaching, and it's five steps to it, 5 stage, right? And I keep it super simple. The assessment, it's really seeing the truth, not the story someone has been telling themselves. Then the clarification, name what you actually want, not the how, because a lot of people will go into the how. The liberation is finding the belief that's running the pattern and really start questioning that belief. The alignment is when we match our words and our choices to the truth that we found through the work we just did. And then activation is what is that one real decision, not the plan, that one real decision, that one action that we can take now. When we go through those 5 steps, we uncover a lot and we can make really, really strong moves.
All right. So here is my final question for you, Corinne. What is the biggest lesson you have learned about creating a life that truly feels aligned?
Biggest lesson that I've learned that truly feels aligned for me is I'm a creator of my life. I am not a manager of my life circumstances. When I was in that job for 13 years, successful remodeling business, I was simply managing my life circumstances. The day I decided to say enough is enough and to start becoming the creator of my life, everything shifted. And from that day, I started living by design and really truly creating the life that I want, because we are creators of our own life. And it starts from the inside out. Um, that's my biggest lesson. Life happens for you, not to you. And you, every day is an opportunity, is a gift, it's a blessing, it's a chance to create something different. And you get to decide. And that's what I want for all of you here listening, is to really, are you a manager of your life circumstances, or are you a creator of your life? And if it's the latter, what are you doing right now to create the life that you want? Not what you think it needs to be. What does your heart really wants? Start there.
All right, Corinne. So for those that would like to connect with you and learn more about what you do, how can they do that?
Yes. I would invite you to, if this conversation really, really stirs something in you, right? I would invite you to go and talk to Coach Carine AI. She's free. She's on my website, resultsnow.coach. And I've created her and trained her into my methodology and coming from all the sessions that I have done. So when you go on my website, you can either book a session with me to have a feel for my work, but you can also go and work with Coach Carine AI and start there. There is plenty of resources on my website, so plenty of ways to uh, reach me, basically.
Sharing your wisdom insight. What a powerful message that you mentioned. Every person that's sharing that story that creates healing, connection, impact, far beyond ourselves. This has been a very exciting episode. Thank you for sharing your wisdom and insight with us, and I really appreciate you taking out your time to be here today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And I wish you the best, continuing impacting people and inspiring them to really create their own.
Okay, thank you. Thanks to my audience as well.